Orca Roika is a new light novel series published by Yen Press. Volume 2 of the series releases next Tuesday, April 26th. You can pick up physical copies from your favorite retailer or digital from Bookwalker. Link in the description below. Anyone who reads this series will want to compare it to Goblin Slayer. While Goblin Slayer is all about wiping out the goblins and thus making a better world, Orca Roika is from the point of view of the orcs, a species with no females and can only mate with members of the other races. For thousands of years, the only way orcs have been able to survive is through capturing females, usually humans, and using them as breeding sows. If this is all sounding extremely sexist, that's because it is. All of orc society is extremely sexist. But worry not, dear watcher, this is the story of an orc raised in a society of only men, learning to see women as people and not just tools for breeding. It's a long and painful journey, but he does get there. You see, Bash, the main character of Orca Roika, is a virgin. And in 2 more years, at the age of 30, he'll become an orc wizard. Magic powers and rune on his forehead and everything. Nothing could be more embarrassing for the orc hero. The war between the races lasted for over 5,000 years. People grew up, had children, and died, and the war was still ongoing. Think about that from Earth's perspective. Imagine a war that started in 3000 BC. The Neolithic period had just come to an end. Egypt has just domesticated camels. Troy is about to be founded, but Athens and Rome are still over 2,000 years away. Construction on Stonehenge had just begun when the war started. A century ago, a mighty demon rose up and forged the 7 races of chaos into an alliance, the Coalition of 7 Races. Made up of orcs, fairies, ogres, harpies, lizardmen, succubi, and demons, they quickly organized and began fighting as a unified front against the allied races: humans, elves, dwarves, and beastkin. The allied races were being pushed back and on the brink of losing everything when a small group of heroes came up with an insane plan. They realized that the only reason the war was going so well for the Coalition was because of Demon Lord Gettings. The problem with an autocracy is that when the person at the top is removed, the whole thing falls apart. And so the mightiest of the 4 races banded together and assaulted the Demon Lord. After the death of Demon Lord Gettings, the Coalition fell apart, and the Alliance swiftly took control. But before wiping out the defeated races, the humans offered a peace treaty. Many people were so tired of the war, they supported it wholeheartedly. And the defeated Coalition races also saw a chance at survival, so they accepted the surrender. One of the terms for surrender was that none shall engage in non-consensual coitus with members of other races. For many orcs, they thought that would mean the end of their race. However, the allied nations sent them prisoners to use as breeding sows. Not a lot, just enough to ensure the orcs weren't completely wiped out. But their population would remain at its diminished post-war numbers. So where does that leave Bash, the orc hero? Bash, the greatest warrior the orcs have ever known, an absolute terror on the battlefield, has never lain with a woman. Not from some high-minded noble idea, he just forgot to. Instead of taking home a prisoner and having his way with her, he would just travel to the next battlefield. In many ways, Bash is like most shonen protagonists. When it comes to combat, he's an absolute genius. But as far as anything else is concerned, he's an idiot. Bash receives permission from the Orc King to go on a quest and find himself a wife. A wife is a big deal to an orc. A woman that is yours alone. No other orc is allowed to touch her. Unlike the breeding stock in the pens where any orc can mate with any woman, a wife is off limits. And so Bash leaves on his quest to find a wife. And if you're gonna find a wife to breed with, humans are the best. They are far prettier than dwarves after all. Though not as pretty as elves, humans are far more durable and able to produce many young orcs. While on the way there, he saves Zell, his old battle buddy. Even though the war is over, humans still captured fairies for their useful magic. Fairies excel at healing magic, and are also genderless. Being both genderless and too small to breed with, they made the perfect partners for orcs in the war. Their quick scouting abilities and healing skills made them invaluable allies, and many orcs and fairies remained friends after the war. Arriving at the first human settlement, Zell begins teaching Bash the way of humans and how to catch himself a bride. But will our orc hero be able to overcome the misogynistic nature of orcs? Will he find a woman who will love him for who he is? Can an orc ever woo a human woman, especially after 5,000 years of war? If you want to find out, you'll have to read Orca Roika yourself. Thanks for tuning in. Once again, a huge shout out to my editor Cute Stuff. I couldn't make these videos without her. If you'd like to hire her to edit your own videos, there's a link to her Fiverr page below. I'm doing a push and trying to post new videos every weekday for the next few months, so look forward to lots of new videos in the near future. Or you can click here for more fantasy or isekai content. I've also started a Patreon. You can click the link below or go to patreon.com/Danon. Stay safe, and I'll see you all again next time on Musings by Danon.